In the following video, we are going to be taking a look at Hearthstone Battleground Simulator. And the reason is that I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone lately, and I figured I may as well farm it for some content. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look specifically at how Hearthstone simulators work and trying to figure out what ChatGPT knows and doesn't know about where that data comes from, what APIs the add-ons that people create are doing, and we're going to learn about Monte Carlo simulations and kind of what it means to calculate variance and win rates. Finally, we're going to close out with a poem, and we're going to allude to a very famous saying from a martial artist and try and relate it or kind of get ChatGPT to figure out if it can figure out who said it. So stick around. Okay, hello everybody, and let's get into this video. So we're going to be having a conversation with ChatGPT about Hearthstone simulators, particularly Hearthstone Battleground simulators. And the reason is because I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds lately because they just released the new buddy patch. And I figured I may as well farm some content from it. If I'm going to be spending so much time doing it, I may as well see if we can use GPT to answer some of my questions that I have about Hearthstone. So I thought that this could be interesting in a few ways. If you've ever played the game Hearthstone Battlegrounds, it's what's known as an auto battler. And I really don't want to get too deep into it because this is more of a GPT video than a Hearthstone video. But you can imagine that you have a set of cards on your side of the board and a set of cards on the opponent's side of the board, and they randomly attack each other until they die, right? And whoever has minions left on their side of the board does damage to the person who doesn't have minions. So it becomes a game of kind of like trying to choose the right minion and buff the right minion and guess where your opponents are going to be placing their minions. And, you know, there's a bunch of tricks and stuff like that. But one interesting thing about Hearthstone Battlegrounds in particular is that they have these simulators. And actually, let me get a picture of one so I can show you what it looks like. So here we're looking at a actual Hearthstone Battleground board, right? So you can see that your opponent has a list of minions here, and then these numbers at the top show you your percentage of winning, your percentage of tying, losing, and lethal means that your character goes below 0 health. So I've always thought that these things are pretty interesting, but I didn't really know how they work. My initial thought process was that they actually kind of took pictures of the board or something like that and then kind of ran the numbers and used some kind of OCR tactic. But that's not really reliable because, as you can see here, these colors are pretty much the same, and you know, it can be hard to distinguish depending on the user's resolution and stuff like that. So I figured that there must be some kind of underlying layer that allows these Hearthstone Battleground simulators to work. So let's say that we want to say like the ones that predict win rates. So let's see what GPT thinks about this. Okay, so it's saying statistical models, minion placement. You're going to let it finish. So Hearthstone Battleground simulators use algorithms, statistical models to predict win rates, such as hero selection, minion placement, available cards. Then they analyze the data and present it in a user-friendly format. Hearthstone Replay, Battlegrounds Hero, Bob's Buddy. So let's say, how do these add-ons see the board, right? How do these add-ons, or how do these simulators see the board? Oops, wrong button. So they do use computer vision, but they also use game data through an API provided by Blizzard. Okay, so according to GPT, there's an API provided by Blizzard which allows third-party developers to access information about the state of the game, including the hero health, minion stats, and available cards, which would make sense, right? Because there's like it's like if you're building a React app, you'll have a post request that comes in with a bunch of data and then hydrates the Facebook page or whatever that you're seeing on your computer. Analyzing screenshots. This is pretty interesting. Uses image recognition algorithm. So, okay, can you show what this API looks like? Okay, so it doesn't show you. Well, yeah. Oh, okay. So there's a Hearthstone API according to, and now I do wonder if this exists. So now I'm going to check the internet because, as we know, GPT has a tendency to hallucinate, which these hallucinations can be largely mitigated by attaching a browser plugin that actually goes and checks if something is existent. But let's see if there's a Hearthstone API. So I'm just going to highlight this and search that. So that's interesting. So there is a game data API. So there is a game data API that has information about Hearthstone cards. I wonder kind of how much these add-ons actually use this game data, or if they just kind of sniff the actual packets going back and forth. Uh, okay, so let's say, does HS Replay, what kind of requests would HS Replay make to get the data of a current board state? Okay, the spectator endpoint. Yeah, this would do it for sure. Because I think that, again, the problem that I would have with computer vision is that there's no way to, when the game updates, they always include a bunch of new boards and hero skins and stuff like that. And it just feels like they would have to update it constantly. And they obviously these add-ons, like this one above, definitely do update with the new cards, but I think it would be much easier to update with the data than to build a whole new machine learning algorithm that can like say like, oh, they changed the artwork on this one card and now we have to rebuild our whole model. So I'm not 100% sure that there actually is a spectator API because on further Googling, searching, I couldn't find one. But what I did find is that Bob's Buddy, which again, through some combination of data and I couldn't find the code for this online. It does simulate 10,000 combats to accurately predict it, right? So it's just using a statistics Monte Carlo algorithm. So we could actually ask about that as well, because that's like a pretty interesting thing that maybe so explain the statistics of auto battler combat when run 10,000 times. Okay, interesting. So if you ever watched Hearthstone streamers or card game streamers in general, poker, um, auto battle, team fight tactics, right? Anything that kind of has a chance element, you'll hear the word variance a lot. And basically variance means how much of the range of variation. So it's just kind of like high variance means that there's just a ton of, as it just says, unpredictability, while low variance means that there's more consistency. So you would expect that if you flip a coin 10,000 times, that it would land heads and tails roughly 50% of the time, right? And I guess one of the big goals of a game like Hearthstone Battlegrounds is to actually get the variance to work in your favor by decreasing the consistency of your opponents beating you while maximizing the consistency that you'll win. which increases the survivability, your average damage dealt, and your win rate. So all of these are kind of like interestingly win more tactics. So I guess just to sum up, I think that I would like to have GPT write a poem about an API route that someone might write for a Hearthstone simulator, because I think that'll be kind of fun, and I like ending these videos on poems. So write a poem about a Hearthstone battleground simulator that runs 10,000 times. Oh, wow. There you go. Really never get bored of the poems. In the world of Hearthstone, where battles are fought, a simulator runs with all its might and thought. It simulates combat 10,000 times to predict win rates and reveal hidden signs. The heroes take their places on board, their minions strike, ready to strike with the sword. The battlegrounds come alive in simulation as players strategize for domination. With each run, new insights are gained and optimal strategies are soon explained. Win rates are calculated, damage dealt per round, survivability measured, variance profound. The simulator is a tool so grand, guiding players across a digital land. For those who seek victory in every fight, 10,000 simulations bring insight. This is like the 10,000. I'm afraid of the man who makes 10,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the simulator that does 10,000 simulations once. Instead of the simulator that does that does one simulation 10,000 times. I got this. I'm not afraid of the simulator that does 10,000 simulations once. I'm afraid of the simulator that does one simulation 10,000 times. Who said this? Or who is this a play on? Who is this a pun on? So it came back and said that this pun is the statement of 10,000 simulations, which isn't what I mean. Yeah, it implies that the latter type of simulator may be more dangerous because as it focuses intensely, which is not what I was looking for. I was going to say, like, who is this pun? Who could this pun have been said by? Who could this pun I wanted to do Bruce Lee, basically, is what I'm saying. Like the 10,000 kicks. Okay, who was it inspired by? What quote was the pun inspired from? Oh, there it is. It knew what I was talking about. The pun, I'm not afraid of the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I'm afraid of the man who has practiced one kick at 10,000 times, is a famous quote by Bruce Lee. Emphasizes the importance of mastering through repetition of practice rather than trying to learn many techniques without truly mastering any of them. Which is interesting, right? Because this Monte Carlo simulation that we just were talking about here with using our Hearthstone prediction simulator that runs 10,000 times to decrease variance and figure out who's going to have the highest win rate is actually kind of opposite. It's to the Bruce Lee mentality where he's like, oh, we just kick once 10,000 times and we go from there. And that person will be a lot stronger with that one kick that they've mastered as opposed to the person who's just tried 10,000 kicks once. So pretty interesting indeed. Anyway, I think that that's going to be this conversation for today. If you want to see the transcript of this conversation, please feel free to check out bramadams.dev and sign up for the newsletter and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.